Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the impact of European Union funding in the Centro Region of Portugal between the years of 2014 and 2020. We are going to cover 5 main topics in this presentation. The first one being a brief introduction. The second one, a partnership agreement in Portugal 2020. The Centro Region of Portugal and the Portugal 2020 operational program. The final analysis and the results. And ending it with some brief conclusions. The partnership agreement between the EU and the member countries for the implementation of the European structural and investment funds between the years of 2014 and 2020 is in its final stages. So it is important to understand what impact does the partnership and agreement had on public and private investment in its different regions, and consequently in the party member countries. This paper is a part of an extended study that analyzes the multiplier effect of the application on EU funds on public and private investment in the 7 Portuguese regions. This paper basically analyzes the multiplier effect of the investment of the European funds invested in the Central Region of Portugal up until March 2020. The data was retrieved from the coordinating committee of the Central Region's website. The data analysis allowed for us to answer the following questions, such as what is the amount invested in the regional economy for each euro of support allocated by the European Union through the Age 2020 program? What is the distribution percentage of the community support versus the investment for each of the intervention areas? And what is the implementation rate when there is less than a year to go before the end of the program? So it was concluded that in the framework of Horizon 2020, 7,260 projects were supported, representing a total investment of 2.5 billion euros, and of those, 1.7 approximately billion euros were financed, representing 64.5. That is, per each euro of support from the European Union, 1.55 euros were invested in the Central Region of Portugal. The multi-annual financial framework between 2014 and 2020 proposed by the European Commission provided funds to be made available to member countries in excess of 1 billion euros. Portugal was responsible for managing around 25 billion euros in thematic operation programs, regional programs on the mainland, as well as programs in the autonomous regions. The European funds' purpose is to contribute to the achievement of priorities defined by the EU. Through these financial instruments to support innovation, the EU aims to reduce unemployment, boost competitiveness, stimulate economic growth, promote entrepreneurship, combat social exclusion, and contribute to the development of a more resource-efficient and environmentally friendly economy. The 5 main funds that work together to support the economic development of the various member states are the EAFRD, or the European Agricultural Fund for Rural Development, the ESF, which is the European Social Fund, the EAFF, which is the European Maritime Affairs and Fisheries Fund, the European Regional Development Fund, which is the ERDF, and finally the commonly known Cohesion Fund, which is the CF. In terms of methodology, the analysis was structured in relation to the intervention axis, thematic objectives, and investment priorities. After collecting, organizing, and processing data, we obtained the results that allowed to answer the study's question. We believe that this study is a significant contribution to understanding the impact of the European Union cohesion funds in the regions and how value is captured. Understanding the value that the public sector investment can generate and capturing a fair share of that value can dramatically increase success for project funding and financing. The partnership agreement adopted between Portugal and the European Commission brings together the activities of the 5 European structural and investment funds, in which the programming principles define the economic, social, and territorial development policy to promote in Portugal between the years of 2014 and 2020. Those programming principles are aligned with the intelligent, sustainable, and inclusive growth and Europe's 2020 strategy. Portugal 2020 program, or the PT 2020, defined the thematic objectives to stimulate growth and job creation, the necessary interventions to achieve them, and the expected achievements and results from this funding. So the Portugal 2020 program, or the PT 2020 thematic objectives, is stimulating the production of tradable goods and services, increasing exports as obvious, transferring the results of the scientific system to productive industries, compiling with compulsory schooling up to the age of 18, reducing levels of early school leaving, which is basically a part of point D, integrating people at risk of poverty and combating social exclusion, promoting sociable development from the point of view of efficient use of resources, strengthening territorial cohesion, particularly in cities and low-density areas, through rationalization, modernization, and capacity building of the public administration. So the programming and implementation of Portugal is organized into 4 thematic areas: the competitiveness and internationalization, the social inclusion and employment, the human capital or human resources, and the sustainability and efficiency in the use of resources. It also considers the transversal areas relating to the reform of the public administration and the territorial division of the intervention. So, in terms of eligibility of for the European investment funds, the 7 regions of Portugal are divided into the less developed regions, which is the GDP per capita is below the 75% EU average. The regions in transition, where the GDP per capita is between 75% and 90%. And the most developed regions, where the GDP per capita is over 90%. So the amounts allocated to Portugal were distributed among each of the 16 operational, thematic and regional programs as shown in this figure. So Portugal is the westernmost country of the mainland Europe. Well, the Centro Region of Portugal is situated between the 2 major national urban areas, Lisbon and Porto, and it is spread over 28,199 square kilometers. Considering the population dynamics, the region is characterized by presenting a low population density, resulting from the existence of an asymmetry within the region characterized by a desertification of the inland areas. Taking into consideration the GDP per capita expressed in purchasing power standards, or PPS, the Centro region with 19,700 is below the national average of 22,500 and the EU 28 average of 29,200. In 2016, the region's gross domestic product, GDP, which has been decreasing since 2012, was 35.3 billion, corresponding to 19% of the national GDP. So in 2016, the unemployment rate was at 8.6%, which was well in line with the EU 28 average and well below the national average of 11.2%. The regional economy is rather diversified, encompassing both low technology level industrial sectors and some medium and high-tech sectors, such as health services, biotechnology, telecommunications, new materials, information and communications technology, and renewable energies. Also, the tertiary sector is the most important contributor to the regional's gross value added, with a relative weight of 67.8% in 2016. So with an allocation of more than 2.155 billion euros, the program aims to promote the competitiveness of the regional economy, sustainable development and internal cohesion in the region, as well as the region's capacity to contribute to the achievement of the main national and European development objectives. This OP is set to contribute to the promoting of competitiveness on the Centro region's economy, as well as to a sustainable development and internal cohesion. It should increase the region's capacity to contribute to the achievement of the key national and EU development priorities listed below. So the priority areas of which the OP will support are the R&D and innovation sectors, the competitiveness and internationalization of the regional economy, the urban development potential, the promotion of employment, the strengthening of the social and territorial cohesion, ensuring the sustainability of resources as well as ensuring the sustainability of territories, which is essential, strengthening the institutional capacity of regional administrative bodies, and last but not least, strengthening the urban network. So regarding the distribution of the total funding by priorities by area, we can notice that the competitiveness of the SMEs stays at 642 million euros of funding. The rest goes for the 300 million margin, the 200 million margin, the 100 million margin, and then it goes down to the 50 million and the 30 million. As of March 31st, 2020, a total of 7,260 projects had been approved, generating total investment of 2,565 million euros with 1,655 million euros, 65% of the EU funding as shown in the table below, Table 1. So starting from front to back, the human capital investment financed 197 projects worth 157 million euros that generated an investment of 185 million euros. In the area of the business competitiveness, which includes the R&D and the innovation, 3,210 business projects represented an investment of approximately 1.575 million euros, with an European contribution of 893 million euros. 3,206 projects were financed in the area of social inclusion and employment, with a total value of 240 million euros, generating a regional investment of 360 million euros. As far as sustainability and efficiency go, 612 projects were supported, a total of 319 million euros were generated in a regional investment of 396 million euros. Finally, 35 technical assistance projects were financed in a total of 44 million euros that generated a regional investment of 47 million euros. So finally, the results indicate that each euro of support provided by the European Union through the H 2020 program has the following impacts on investment in the Centro Region of Portugal. The human capital represents 1.18 euros per euro invested. The competitiveness of the SMEs represents 1.76 euros of 1 euro invested. The social inclusion and employment rate is at 1.50 of 1 euro invested, of course. Sustainability and resource efficiency mark at 1.24 euros per euro invested. And the technical assistance marks the 1.06 margin of 1 euro invested. So far, 7,260 projects were financed, representing a total investment of 2,565 million euros. EU funds of 1,655 million euros represented 64.5%. In example, per each euro of EU support, 1.55 euros were invested in the Centro region. Regarding percentage distribution of the funding versus the investment, we arrive at the following indicators, such as the human capital, the competitiveness of the SMEs, social inclusion and employment, sustainability and resource efficiency, and technical assistance. So it was concluded that in the framework of the H 2020 and according to data available, 7,260 projects were supported, representing a total investment of 2.5 billion, and of these, 1.6 billion were funded, representing 64.5%. That is, per each euro of support from the European Union, 1.55 euros were invested in the Centro region. Also, considering that the initial objectives of the European Union forecasted 2.1 billion euros, providing an overall investment in the region of 2.6 billion, in example, each euro of support should generate a regional investment of 1.22 euros. We can conclude that the Centro Region of Portugal is still to implement about 500 million euros of EU funding, is just 63 million euros away from reaching the total amount. So per 1 euro of EU funding with an initial multiplier expectation of 1.22 euros, the region reached so far an impact of 1.55 euros. Thank you for your time.